It's Friday, March 19, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. The health service contribution is performing as expected, raking in just over $60 million in the 2019-2020 financial year. And while it experienced a slight dip this financial year due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, Director of Financial Services at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Andrew Hurley, is confident that the revenue-raising measure will collect the intended amount in the upcoming financial year, which begins on April 1.
Last financial year, the health levy was performing at about $5.11 million. After COVID, it's fallen to about $4.1 million. For next financial year, we are projecting about $50 million from the health levy. The QEH expects to generate approximately $3 million from its own private services. And we expect to have a budget of about $173 million for the next financial year. We expect that as the economy improves, that health levy will then increase back to approximately between 4.5 to 5 million at the latter end of the financial year.
Opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley, however, believes government must find a plan to finance public health care. He argued that the current model of financing is unsustainable.
The current model is not sustainable. The current model will not take us where we need to go. The current model is not properly addressing the immediate problems in the health sector and health of Barbados that we now face, and is not likely to be viable in the face of new challenges which will come.
Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic says Cabinet is now reviewing a study to help government determine how to cut costs in the healthcare sector. While he could not fully disclose the details, Bostic said the study offered insight into how many services could be streamlined.
When we were able to compare the cost of the provision of services, for example, at QEH, with comparable services in the private sector, and we were able to see even within the polyclinics where we could make some changes that are necessary in relation to where the polyclinics that offer certain services in a greater catchment area, and doing more in that regard than other polyclinics, so we can rationalize services in polyclinics as well. But that study has not yet been completed. The review that is by Cabinet, and we shall move swiftly to have that done in the new financial year.
In other news, long-awaited child justice laws will go before Parliament within the next 3 months. Word of this from Attorney General Dale Marshall amid public concern about the treatment of a 14-year-old girl at the main juvenile detention facility. He addressed the matter on Down to Brass Tacks today.
We've been going through this process. We've had a bill. We didn't like what it was like. We didn't feel that it catered to our particular circumstances. We've looked at the legislative arrangements, the statutes that are to be found in St. Lucia and other places which are modern, but we didn't think that they suited Barbados. So yes, delay from the point of view that we haven't done it yet, but the purpose of the delay has been to try to get it right. And by trying to get it right, it means that we have to rethink how we want intervention.
Cement manufacturer Preconco Limited and the Barbados Workers Union are once again on level terms following an intervention from Prime Minister Mia Mottley and Minister of Labour Colin Jordan. In a statement today, Minister Jordan revealed that after meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday, the matters included an arbitrary wage cut of 2.5% were amicably resolved. According to the Labour Minister, the parties agreed to an effective date of April 1 for restoring the wages along with a regime for settling all outstanding commitments. Tensions between the two parties reached boiling point last week when 8 shop stewards were suspended for attending a meeting with the Labour Minister over a number of outstanding industrial relations issues. Both parties have agreed to use their best efforts to restore and maintain industrial harmony. Caribbean governments have agreed to set up a special committee to establish a new financing model for the University of the West Indies. Word of this from Vice-Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, who reported on the outcome of a high-level meeting hosted by Prime Minister Mia Mottley on Wednesday. According to Sir Hilary, the move is intended to find a solution to the increasing arrears countries owe to the regional university.
Unfortunately, many critics over the years have used the deficit to make the argument that somehow the campuses, the 5 campuses and the university itself are being mismanaged. When that was never true. It was never true. It was always dishonest. And what this committee is saying, let us take collective responsibility. Let us work it out. No finger pointing. Prime Minister Brown was very clear. There's no need for finger pointing. Let us help the university take these things over which they have no control, find a different way to treat with them in terms of accounting so that our balance sheet can find that freedom and liberation in its positive identity. And that was the impact of the committee. And Prime Minister Motley was very, very clear that we have to find a solution to this problem. We have to realize that the governments have a part to play in this scenario, and let us together sit down and work out a new partnership model where our accounting process will be treated differently so that these deficit drivers can be taken off the university's balance sheet so that the university can stand proud in a positive financial performance.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Get vaccinated. That's the appeal Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness made today at a town hall meeting held amid concerns about the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Giovanni Davis of Television Jamaica has the details.
Pushing back against anti-vaccine protests and influential people who don't support vaccination. A vaccine town hall hosted by the Office of the Prime Minister, with Mr. Holness expressing one message.
The vaccine is safe. Get vaccinated. It is important for your personal health. It is important for the public good, meaning that if we reach this herd immunity level of vaccination, we can go back to normalcy, open our economy, and party and church can keep.
Mr. Holness lamented that influential people against vaccines pose a problem, especially for persons in rural and inner-city communities.
To give them the advice. Now, that could be a danger for us. And of course, they would also get access to perverse information. Information saying, don't take this vaccine or don't do this. And though that kind of information is being circulated widely in our country, people who are opinion leaders, people who are influential in various areas, whether it is church or music or entertainment, they are sometimes messengers of perverse information. And so they don't have...
Professor of Public Health Peter Figueroa sits on the World Health Organization Committee assessing the efficacy of vaccines.
We've looked at this vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine. The World Health Organization has approved it as highly effective and safe.
On the international scene, Europe pushed to get its COVID-19 vaccination drive back on track after regulators gave the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine the nod. But it was a mixed picture, with some countries resuming and others choosing to wait. Lucy Fielder of Reuters Television reports.
I always knew it was safe, says this retiree, getting his AstraZeneca jab in a Paris pharmacy. People are panicking, but there are always some side effects, he says. That view was echoed by many in European capitals Friday, as the continent pushed to get its COVID-19 vaccination drive back on track, after EU and British regulators said the benefits of AstraZeneca's shot outweighed any risks. Next comes a test of public confidence. At least 13 countries in Europe suspended or delayed use this week after reports of blood clots and bleeding prompted an investigation. Germany also resumed the shots on Friday, as cases there rise after an ease in restrictions. Spain and the Netherlands will restart next week. A few countries still have caveats. Even as Prime Minister Jean Castex had the AstraZeneca shot, declaring he couldn't feel a thing, France said it would limit its use to over 55s, fearing blood clots were more likely in younger people. And Lithuania will let people choose their vaccine in a possible litmus test of sentiment. Both Denmark and Sweden are holding off, saying they need more time to make a decision. AstraZeneca's vaccine is seen as an important weapon against COVID due to its relatively easy storage and transport and low price compared to others available. Europe's leaders say they need to accelerate vaccinations, with deaths in the EU surpassing 500,000 and less than a tenth of the bloc's population inoculated. Germany's health minister warned there aren't enough vaccines to contain a third wave of infections.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and